Welcome back to Sportsbeat. Today is October 13th, and we are recording episode number 31. I'm your host, Rob Drumm, and I am here in the My Little Falls podcast studio with the man who makes sure the trains run on time, Dave Warner. What's going on?
Trains?
And I
don't have a choo-choo sound on here. So.
I know.
I'll add it.
I'll use it again. I'll let you know ahead of time, and
I'll put the whistle.
There we go.
We can do that. Amtrak coming through.
Yeah,
I do have a good sound of Amtrak.
Do you?
I do. I shot this beautiful shot of them coming around a curve, and you can see City Hall and Little Falls in the background. It's autumn, and there are a bunch of the buzzards over there that flew up because of the thing. I mean, it's a shot. It's a great shot.
Right?
Yeah.
But you got the audio.
And then he saw me. Yeah, I had the audio on, and he ran the horn for me.
Nice.
I didn't even have to go. You
didn't have to do the trucker symbol?
I didn't have to do the trucker thing. He saw me and beeped the horn.
You can't. Yeah. See, you have all the luck.
I do.
I should have you go buy my lottery ticket. Maybe I'll actually win.
I never won that.
Yeah, right. So let's jump into the Pressbox segment here, and we're going to start this week off with boys soccer. Cooperstown beat Sequoia Valley 3-1. Liam Spencer, Colby Diamond, and Aiden Spencer all scored for the Hawkeyes. They improved to 13-0 on the season. We got a score out of Frankfort Schuyler and Little Falls. Frankfort Schuyler boys beat Little Falls 1-0. You're shaking your head.
Yeah. I know.
Okay.
And a couple of those games, the home games anyway, yeah.
Anything to add to the...
Not to that one.
No. Herkimer beat West Canada 6-3. Utica Academy of Science beat Old Forge, which I believe is also the town of Webb. Some places are reporting that inconsistently, and that's bothering me. I don't know why. But UAS won that either way 5-0. Proctor and Whitesboro, we got a report on that, which was cool. So thank you. Proctor beat Whitesboro 3-0. And then Holland Patton beat Hamilton 2-0. Jumping down to girls soccer, we have Poland. They are continuing their just tear of a season. They beat Remsen 8-2. We have Lowville beat Adirondack 5-1. Sequoia Valley beat Frankfort Schuyler 7-1. Whitesboro and Proctor 5-0. And Oriskany and Old Forge or Town of Webb 7-0. So yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's technically Town of Webb, Old Forge. I think the actual name is the Town of Webb Union Free School District, and somebody's or places are reporting it as there, and it just, oh well.
Or for a while there, they were reporting, Little Falls Dallsville is one thing. So really? On one of the scoring systems, I was like, ooh, okay.
There's still some places that I find, and I laugh at it, that report CVA as Alien Mohawk. Like, it hasn't been that way in.
Yeah.
Either way, the Old Forge has the best name in the world because the most appropriate mascot, and they're the Eskimos. It's perfect.
I do like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Over to tennis, and I don't know how I saw that on the bracket that they listed that there was on the singles and doubles that there were some players from Little Falls that made sectionals. I didn't see any other on the bracket, but they didn't have the names on the bracket. So I was going to give him a shout out for advancing. It looks like either the quarterfinals or the semis, depending on which end of the brackets that it's on. But it just said Little Falls, and then whoever the other team was. And I'm like, well, that's massively not helpful. So Little Falls, whoever was on the tennis that got into sectionals and went on the bracket, congratulations on going far. But I don't know who you are because the bracket that the section put out doesn't have your name. So anyway,
Ooh, what?
Yeah, apparently my warranty was ringing. So girls field hockey.
I want to know how those guys know that my car warranty's up. I mean, it's amazing.
You want to know? Here's a quick one for you that you'll enjoy. I have another phone. I changed the number on it because I did switching and I switched carriers and all that. So the other number has a number that's never been it's brand new. It's not even recycled. I said I want a new number that's never gone through the system within 2 days. And there's only so Verizon had to have sold my number. Anyway.
Did you get the warranty?
No, absolutely not.
All right.
The car they called about is 2 cars ago, and so thanks. Anyway, we are continuing our Pressbox segment here with girls field hockey. Clinton beat Mount Markham 3-1. 3-1. Little Falls got the best out of Herkimer 6-0. Sequoia Valley beat New York Mills 2-1, and Morrisville Eaton beat Sherburne Earlville. There's a fun one, 2-0. Cross country has seen a lot of action, and it was reported over the weekend. Locally, the only teams that I saw that were on there that were reported back to us was CVA, and the boys and girls both followed the same pattern. And I don't know if this was a coincidence or if it's teams being added together, but either way, they both teams lost to Oneida and then beat Whitesboro. So I don't know how that happens, but congratulations to CVA on the win, and sorry for the loss. Oh, I'm over at that camera. Yeah, I keep looking over here. I don't know why.
I don't know why you were looking over.
The voices in my head are telling me to look over here today.
I kept looking for who you were looking at over there.
That's all right. All right, so we're gonna high school. We've got obviously recapping football, and it's Tuesday, so a couple days out. But we've got Mexico beat Westmo Oriskany 35-7. Holland Patton beat Sherburne Earlville, and that score there was 28-13. Little Falls edged out Mount Markham in double overtime with a final score of 28-22. I have a note here. Talk to Dave. What did you see? Because
I wasn't there. It was an away game. So I was shooting girls field hockey at that time, but they were watching it streaming on the sideline. So I'd be looking over their shoulder going, and so.
That had to have been a double overtime.
Yeah.
Crazy. We did, Herkimer did double overtime to begin the season. That game was, we lost, but it was a great game. And congratulations to Little Falls because at that point, how many games have you really played at that point?
Yeah, not that many, but yeah.
Cool.
They're doing well.
Yeah, good,
Yep.
good. Notre Dame picked up another win, and this time it was over Waterville Hamilton, and the final score there was 48-16. Sequoia Valley beat Cooperstown 58-16. Dodgeville handled Sandy Creek to continue their tear of a season. Final score up in Dodgeville was 36-7. And I'm going to go on my soapbox because I can. Really, really sad display of football in Clinton over the weekend by my Magicians. I will bleed green until the day that I die. And I was blessed to attend Herkimer when I lived in Mohawk. Yeah, I'm kind of a traitor, and that's okay. And the sad part is Mohawk High School is 100 feet from my front door of my house, but that's all right. But what I've seen over the past few games is just massively disappointing. Herkimer and Clinton were both defeated teams going into that game. Clinton showed up, and Herkimer just totally forgot that there was a game. Final score was 41-0. This is the first time, and I cannot tell you how long, and I've tried to do the research. I've gone back about 20 years to show that Herkimer lost 2 consecutive games without scoring a point.
Wow.
If anybody has the research or the knowledge, I meant to ask Bob Youngblood, who's he's one of our weekly listeners. He's also sideline staff with us in Herkimer. Bob, if you know, let me know, and we'll recap that at some point or add that. It's massively disappointing, and the sad part is that it's now to the point of the season where it's like the checkout is real, and the attitude is sour, and it's totally understandable, but there's only a handful of kids that seem like they're committed from the stat box. And
so you're saying they're the Baltimore Orioles of the Mohawk Valley.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just checking in on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Only I'm not going to say Maladin because, I love my sports, but Herkimer got to get it together, guys. Got another tough game this week. Dodgeville's coming to Herkimer for homecoming. Yeah. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, again, I'm going to note here that the section is likely still looking for refs. At this point, if soccer and football seasons are pretty much over with in terms of being able to train you. But if you're interested in, picking up some cash and getting the best seat in the house, basketball and other winter sports are likely going to be in the same position and starting to gear up. So reach out to your athletic director today. And I want to end the high school segment and giving a shout out. So Herkimer's been doing a capital improvement project, and yeah, I'm a Herkimer guy. Angry, shoot me, I don't care. And give a shout out to the athletic director at Herkimer, Christy Paragon, the administration on the new gym. Recently did a walkthrough. The sound, lights, there's a video board, there's a scoreboard on both sides.
Really? What's the video board for?
Like you can do animation up on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the entire gym is so friggin' cool.
All right.
And they've been talking about it for a while. They finally got it. The last bits and pieces are going in for the opening game coming up in, I think, sometime in November. Look, I'm excited.
Did they do LED lighting on it, or what did they do?
It's LED. I think it's LED diode lighting, so it can still form like pixels, so you can change it.
Not on the sign. I meant the floor lighting.
Oh, yeah, those are LED. Those are the same. Those are the same lights that they had before, I believe.
Right. They didn't update that or anything. All right.
No, those are the same. The LEDs. Those were updated a couple years ago.
Okay.
But they got rid of the drop panel ceiling. It's all open. It's got that industrial look to it. New bleachers. The entire floor is all brand new and not just stripped. Entire new wood.
Oh wow.
New pattern. There is an H in the center for center court. New scorers table, totally flipped the gym where you're going to come in, making it easier. All new locker rooms, new weight room, windows.
Wow.
I mean, and it looks great. So, and I know Christie and the administration have been working on that, and it's been a pain in their butt, but the juice was worth the squeeze, guys, because it looks friggin' amazing. So ready to rock that place in a couple weeks. So jumping to college, Herkimer Generals were in action as they traveled to Jefferson County this week after a tough loss against Genesee last week. The Cannoners scored the first goal, but it was all Herkimer from there. Mackenzie Magnuson. Yeah, if I said that right, I'm going to be proud of myself. Got the equalizer
maybe Magnuson.
Sure. Yeah, great. And got just before half with the equalizer. And then in the second half, it was Haley Taut from Frankfurt. She got her 9th goal of the season. And then Kate Below finished and scored for the day. And over on the defensive side, goalie Kirsten Gay of Herkimer picked up a double save off a penalty kick, and then the ensuing action that was there in the box. Kirsten Gay and Isabella Smith had 9 saves and accounted for the win collectively. The women improved to 7-3 on the season. Over on the guys' side, they were in action also in Jefferson County. Kyle Middleton of Scotland got the scoring off for the first goal of the game. Middleton added 2 more goals to pick up a hat trick on the day. The Generals shared the love in the stat sheets, seeing Nicholas Camford, Shaki Ichimara, and Jared, I think that's spelled wrong though, because he's from Norway, I believe, but Bo Perry, and then Eichel Collins Brown all adding goals. Final score there was 7-0. The Generals are now 7-1 on the season, and I believe if it was, and I haven't seen the updated rankings, but they're now 3rd in the rankings. So congratulations, guys. Keep it up. Girls, you too. Going to make a hard jump, and this is where we're going to get bogged down. So I'm going to go first, and we're in college football time, and it was bad for both of our teams this week. It was a shit week. And so I'll go for Alabama. Went to College Station, just stunk up the whole friggin' joint, and it got in a quick hole, and they just never were able to get out of it. It was disgusting.
But the most impressive viral video ever that came out of the game, of the field goal kicker's mom.
Oh yeah,
going berserk.
Yeah, after he it was awesome. It was a great human moment. I'm thinking I still hate the kicker because that's the reason we lost. But Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies were unranked and we left them about 3 minutes on the clock, and they kicked the game-winning field goal, as you said, have gone viral. We've seen that from multiple different angles to knock Bama out of the top spot. Bama's only road really for the playoffs now is through the SEC championship, which means likely facing up with Georgia. And that game, I'm not confident we win after what we just saw last week. So I don't like our odds. But congratulations to Jimbo Fisher. He's the first coach in the Saban coaching tree to ever beat Coach Saban in a game. Wow. So all of those games and it was like 37-0, and that comes to an end. There's finally no more 0 at the end of that. So cool. And it goes from bad to worse. So earlier in the day, Dave's Longhorns took the field, and they were cruising to a nice win over number 4 ranked Oklahoma. And then came halftime. And
I don't know what they did in that locker room, but none of it was good.
It wasn't Gatorade.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I don't know what they were smoking in there.
Yeah, and they just forgot how to play football from there. And Oklahoma mounted an awesome second half playbook and executed very well for a come behind win. Final score there was 55-48.
I mean, they forgot how to play defense. They went in there and they came out with no defense. I mean, it's like, did you leave them somewhere?
And I mean, with a final score of 55-48, there was no defense at all. So
on either side,
yeah,
that's okay.
But you guys had a couple times where it was 3rd and long, and all you had to do was shut them down, and you could have ran out the time. And
yeah, but there were other things too. I mean,
sure.
Number one, I want to say, in 31 years of being a Longhorn fan, that was the most depressing game I've ever watched.
Because it was Oklahoma, or just in general?
I think Oklahoma, the Red River Shootout, the history, the whatever else like that, and the opportunity to break the cycle of losses.
Yep.
That looked so promising in the first half. And
yeah, it really did.
Oh my God, this might happen. That's my radio voice.
There it is. There it is.
TK 102. No. So I couldn't help myself. But there were, everybody who loses a game like that likes to point to potential penalties that didn't get called, or that did get called that shouldn't have been called, or whatever. But I think there were 2 or 3 moments. There were 2 clear offensive push-offs.
Oh yeah,
that were not called.
Yep.
And I think you might say, okay, well, they were letting them play all along anyway. Well, okay, all right. And then there was the instance where on 3rd and long, the Oklahoma guy, without being touched, clearly went out of bounds and then re-entered the field illegally. Those, just call that one by itself. And they did a replay on it. So it wasn't like it was a hurry up and they couldn't look. And they didn't ever look at it. I mean, seriously, it was so friggin' clear. And the announcers were going, it's so friggin' clear.
Yeah.
And yet they never looked at it. No, that was key from a momentum and it just, so you hate to be able to point to one thing like that and say, that cost us the game.
Right.
Because then it ignores the fact that the defense didn't come back out on the field after halftime, which is really what you want to be talking about.
And there were a couple series where points were left on the field.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, defense is going to take the blame, especially losing when you're up. What was it, 18 or 21 points or whatever it was, a half?
Yeah, it depends on. Yeah, I can't remember how far up.
Either way, it was. I'm pretty sure it was close or more than 3 scores.
Yeah,
and to come out and not be able to put up points as fast as you were. I mean, one more scoring set drive in that game, you win.
Yeah, and you watch the last run by Oklahoma.
Oh yeah,
he bounced. It was the weirdest thing. He bounced off of 3 guys who looked like just these logs there, like
wrap up.
Their arms were by their sides. They were basically shuffling.
Yep.
And I'm like, it still makes a difference. It's college football. 1 second left on the clock. You do not give up unless you're down by 40 points. And then
then it's running time.
Yeah,
and that one dart that they put in the end zone with the corner, I mean, his shoelace would not have fit if it was another inch more closer to the pylon. And that pylon cam, and I think it was Kirk Herbstreit that said it on the broadcast, that might be the pylon cam of the year from where it was, because the position of the camera caught everything. And I mean, it was not good for you as a Longhorn fan, but I mean,
but it was a perfect view.
Yeah.
So you'd like to see that kind of certainty in what's happening in the game, and to have those moments where you didn't have that, or you had. I just hate to be the one saying, so we lost because of the call. Well, okay, no, we lost because the defense didn't play, but the last half.
And I feel bad for Steve Sarkisian because he's taking it on the chin, but
I don't think in Austin he's not.
Good. So it's national media, ESPN, Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, to ignore those guys. I think there's still a lot of hope for the team. The fact that they came so close from a recruiting standpoint was extremely helpful, because recruits are going to look at that and go, we could have won that.
Sure.
And that's the first time. And number 4, like you said. So that's the first time that they were that close. And you know what? If I jump onto the team, maybe I can turn that around next year.
Yep.
Be that recruit who does it. So I don't think the local crowd is beating them up that badly, and I don't think it hurt their opportunity for prospects.
That's good. And you having family and everything down there, that's good to hear, just because I think Sark is the guy to take you into the SEC, just because he's navigated those waters. He's succeeded in those waters. Again, he's a member of the Saban tree, and I think if you're making the jump to SEC, which it clearly looks like is eventually going to happen at one way or another after the contracts are bought out and everything, you really need to have Sark as your guy.
Yeah, I mean, I was so depressed I didn't watch the NFL the next day. I couldn't take any more of watching that damn pigskin.
I gave up. Alabama totally pissed me off and ruined my weekend, but that's all right. And obviously, big shakeups in the top 25 rankings. We just talked about 2 pivotal games. So now the new top 5. We see Georgia in the top spot. Iowa's now sitting in the number 2. Cincinnati, which is the highest, if I've done my research correctly and listened correctly, they're the highest FBS school to ever be ranked that high, which is cool to see that maybe Cincinnati, and they were talking about it after I had written up some of my script for this. Cincinnati breaking the ceiling that they've broken may be the last linchpin that they need to open up the college playoffs, because now Cincinnati's showing, from whatever conference that they're in, the North Atlantic Conference or whatever it actually is, they can compete.
Yeah. And
how do you say no to them? So if you got all these division winners, how are you going to determine, yes, their 8-0 is not as highly ranked as an SEC team, but they're beating good teams right now where they got a number 3 ranking. It's going to be interesting to see when the college playoffs come out, where they keep Cincy. And Oklahoma's at 4 and Bama falls to number 5, which, big drop. Other local favorites, we see Ohio State, they've moved up to number 6. Penn State is now number 7. And at 7th, and Notre Dame is now in 13th. So gotta love it. I mean, we don't have to this week, but overall we still do. We're going to.
I said, I'm never watching college football again, and my wife says until next week.
Yeah, till Saturday and college game day's on, and you're watching to see what the celebrity guest pick are. So.
I know, it's bad.
We're gonna do a quick commercial break here, and come back on the other side and talk about how I hate baseball.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back. So, yeah, I hate baseball. I hate baseball a lot. So, in our office,
you're going to love Boston, is what you're saying now, right?
No.
All right.
Cold day in hell. I will agree with one thing that one of the guys, Jim, in our office at the BOE had said is that, as much as it sucks to lose, it means more when it goes through Boston. Because had we had won, we beat Boston. And for them beating the Yankees to get to where they are is, I get it, because it's one of the oldest rivalries in baseball. It means the most. I mean, there are people that will still sit next to you, but I loathe you for being a Boston fan. Not that you are, but what
I'm not.
Yeah.
I actually was born and raised in Massachusetts, and everybody was a Boston fan, but I was a Yankee fan.
Because you were smart.
And my best friend was a Yankee fan.
Smart.
And so his aunt lived in New York City, and so we snuck away as teenagers a couple of times to watch Yankee games.
Nice.
They were playing the Red Sox in New York City.
Nice.
Because we couldn't root for them locally.
No,
you
get killed.
Yeah.
But the Yankees broke my heart and lost to evil Boston in the play-in game for the wild card. Boston, I really think, and it pains me to say this so much, but they're the hottest team in baseball right now. And they just beat the division leader Tampa Bay in 4 games. And I mean, they made Tampa Bay look small, which is hard to do considering the roster and the money that they put behind it. So, Dodgers and Giants are tied with two games apiece. They're going to go into a final tiebreaker there for the Game 5. Atlanta Braves move on 3-1 over the Brewers. Astros beat the White Sox 3-1. Playoffs are just crazy, and it's only going to get worse. My hope is that it sucks because I can't root for the Astros. The cold day in hell before I do that after those cheaters do anything.
Why not?
Yeah, right. I mean, there's that one scene in The Dark Knight, where both teams, the only person that's left there because the field like falls in or whatever, and the only person there is the running back that catches the ball that goes the distance. I mean, if the ump is the only person that gets a win, that'd be happy for me. But I did see that Zach Steele, who is a obvious Boston fan, and a few former magicians were at the Boston game, which had to be fun. So congrats to all the Boston fans, as much as it pains me to say that. I know Jim Wallace, who's the Herkimer County administrator, he's a big Boston sports guy, and he's loving it. They even had some fun at the quarterly legislative meeting last week where the chairman told Mr. Wallace that they start everything with the pledge. And he goes in leading us because they just defeated the Yankees the other night, Jim Wallace, and he stood up and he's beaming, and all of a sudden you hear a couple of the guys, there's Yankee is. So good fun. It'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do in the offseason, though. I'm not a big Aaron Boone fan. It may be time to move on. I don't know if I really want to go that route just yet. The bigger picture is real challenges in the front office with who's going to be re-signed, who's going to be kept. A lot of talk about people wanting to keep Brett Gardner because, he's like the pseudo captain. He's the stability in the locker room, but is he worth the contract and the roster spot? So Boone can do whatever he wants, but it's really going to come down what the roster does, and that's the front office. And so whoever's in the front office, don't muck this up. So NFL, our Cowboys look good. Yeah, we beat the Giants, which is always nice to hear. All you Giants fans eat that one. Final score there was 44-20. So that was, beating the Giants is always special. If we beat the Giants and the Eagles, the Washington football team, or as Dan Levitar calls them, the Washington racial slurs, that was so funny. He used to do that when he was on ESPN, and they hated it, but they couldn't do anything. But we going 2-0 against the Eagles and the Giants. I'm good because we're going to go 8-8 every year until Jerry Jones is no longer there. So, ooh, hot take. There, yeah, that's right. The other game that I found interesting was the Green Bay and the Bengals game. Unreal. There was like 4 or 5 missed field goals in the fourth quarter of the game. Mason Crosby was one of the best kickers in the game. He missed, I think it was 2 game-winning field goals. The guy for the Bengals shanked one. They go into overtime. They both shank one, and then they finally win off a field goal. It's just like, what the hell are you doing? Crazy.
Bad day.
Yeah.
Swirling winds.
Yeah, true. Yeah, blame it on that one. But the biggest news out of the NFL this week was what everybody saw was the firing / resignation, whichever one it actually is, of John Gruden. It was reported last week that emails from, I believe it was 2015, showed Gruden using racial language in emails while they were, I think he would have been at ESPN at the time. Gruden survived the weekend for the game. The Raiders lost to the Bears on Sunday, and the course changed from there pretty quickly. Raiders Nation looked like Gruden was their guy, even publicly coming out and saying that they didn't have a problem and that this didn't change anything, but then that changed. Many people across the league, from Jerry Jones to Aaron Rodgers to most of talk radio, has said that they were critical of Gruden, and that pressure probably didn't help adding to that. So it was interesting to see Jerry Jones, because usually when stuff like this happens, he can be, I don't want to say tone deaf, but he represents the other side of thinking sometimes, especially within the owners group. And he even said, what you say like that is on you, and there's consequences to things that you say. And to hear Jerry Jones and Aaron Rodgers, both kind of different ends of the spectrum when they both talk, kind of saying the same thing, really.
Yeah. I thought it was like 10 years ago. Was it 2015?
Was it 20?
I don't know. I heard somebody say 10 years. Anyway.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to when I was a kid in high school. And
I'm gonna cancel you. You just run the computer now, right?
I don't know. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. Bills Nation. I am now going to say, and you've all been waiting a while, if the 5 of you that listen, but that can change now. With you can tell me that you're going to the Super Bowl, because this past weekend you were on the road in Arrowhead Stadium playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and you guys looked great. Final score there was 38-20. You can now start flexing into that whole we're going the distance. Stay humble. There's still a lot of work to do, and it doesn't matter in the end. And once you get into playoffs, it's win or go home. So, but with the way everybody else is shaking up injuries, they've definitely got the conditioning. They've got the locker room. They've got the speed. They've got the right playbook. It's working. The thing is that you needed a personal opinion here. You needed a test, because all the teams that you've played are sub 500 or crap teams. I'll call it the way it is. And now with beating the Chiefs, you can definitely say it. Not that the Chiefs look any great team anyway, but they are a decent football team, and that's a good point to win. So I will walk that back now, but we've got a new data set that allows me to do that. So Formula One was back after a 2-week break. This time they were in Istanbul for the Turkish Grand Prix. Another great race of the season. Valtteri Bottas from Mercedes finished first, with Max Verstappen of Red Bull finishing second. Sergio Perez, also of Red Bull, rounded out the podium with a third-place finish. This race also saw a change in the point standings for drivers. Lewis Hamilton finished 5th overall with 10 points on the day. As we've talked about before, Hamilton and Verstappen are in a battle at the top. Max finished second place, which netted him 18 points, and is thus now in first place with a total of 262.5 points. Hamilton is in second place with 256.5 points, and Bottas is in third with 177. So still either of theirs to lose, but with 6 races left in the season, it's the race for the top between those two, and it's going to be interesting to see, because now they're talking about there's some bad blood there, and we're going to get to it in NASCAR. We saw it, but one bad finish, you're done.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get any points and the other person gets a full 20, that's a big set to do. But we'll see. There's another 2-week break here as the field comes to North America. Next race is the U.S. Grand Prix, which will run on October 24th at Circuits of America in Texas. So that'll be fun to watch. And I think this is the last. We're going to go a bit in depth here just because I thought it was funny because it's kind of like watching high school. But we're going to end with NASCAR this week. So they were in Charlotte. A friend of the show, Kyle Stevens, was trackside for the event. Got a bunch of great pictures. Got a great race in. So Kyle Larson in the number 5 Chevy took the checkered flag. Big news, though, was between Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott. So flashback to Bristol 3 weeks ago when Elliott wrecked with Harvick, costing him a win. So fast forward to this past weekend, Harvick delivered what everybody was assuming was payback. Halfway through the race, Harvick sent Elliott into the wall and almost forced Elliott to be eliminated. But the number 9 team got it together, came back, moved through the field, and they put them in position so they didn't make the cut. So they advanced. They were not eliminated. Flip the script. Later, Harvick, for some reason, and I can only guess he was looking in his rearview mirror, hit the wall pretty hard, and he has a 33rd place finish overall, and he eliminated himself, as well as Chris Bell, William Byron, and Alex Bowman. Here's the fun part. So some great quotes. Harvick was asked if the wreck with Elliott was payback for Bristol, and he didn't deny it, but he didn't admit to it either. He said, "You remember Bristol?" Question. And that was all. So they followed up with whoever the reporter was and asked if it was deliberate. And the second time he got asked, he responded, "Sometimes real life teaches you good lessons." And that was it. So very cryptic, not admitting to anything, right? And then when he asked again, he just walked away. So Elliott was the one that got the last laugh, and I find this kind of funny just because of the pettiness, but it's the aha, I won. Harvick is eliminated by his own crash. Elliott and his team get back in. They make the cut for the next round. So here's Elliott's quote. As far as Kevin goes, he was asked what he thought, post. As far as Kevin goes, I want to wish them a merry offseason and a happy Christmas. Right?
Yeah.
And then the follow-up question was, is this over, or is this going to be like a rivalry brewing and everything? And he said, and I love this one. For us, we're just eyes forward and happy to be moving on in the playoffs. That's the big picture. We'll keep fighting. Talk about taking the last lap there. No pun intended. But NASCAR is back in action this weekend in Texas. So be fun to see as we get closer and closer to Homestead, I believe, is the final race. So we'll have to have Kyle Stevens on and ask him what he thought if Elliott's wreck was purposeful in Bristol, what he thought being trackside. I'll have to reach out to him and see about getting him on next week or something like that. So anyone who's listening and would like to come on for an episode or have ideas to talk about, please reach out to the show at Sportsbeat at mylittlefalls.com. Again, trying to do some outreach and get more content you see. And as always, please, it's very important. You help us out immensely. Coaches, staff, and players, please include us in your sports reporting after games at Sportsbeat, mylittlefalls.com. For updates and highlights throughout the week, follow us on Facebook at Sportsbeat with Rob Drumm. For all of your local sports, news, and our podcast home, find us on mylittlefalls.com. For Rob Drumm here with Dave Warner, we'll talk to you next week.